Wild Thing by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound and fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. The peace of wild things. So Wendell Berry, in this poem, is feeling anxious and wakes in the night. I can relate to this, about despair for the world and my life and our children's lives. In fact, I can relate to it so well that I did it last night. I woke up in the middle of the night, but I did not have a body of water to go sit next to and wait for the great heron to come down and sit in the peace of wild things. But you know what I do have? Do you know what we have? Each other. And so when I woke last night and was beginning to despair, I thought to myself, soon enough, we'll gather. We'll be together. The peace of wild things. We are each other's wild things. I find peace in knowing that we come together to celebrate and to explore love. I find peace in knowing that amongst all that's happening in the world, that we can rest in the grace of the world, in the grace that we offer each other, in the grace of this very morning. I hope that for this 1 hour and a little bit, that we can put down for just a moment our despair of the world around us and just be with one another, bathing in, soaking in the idea and the presence of love that we offer each other. May we rest in this grace, and may we be free.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon. My name is Noreen Halberstadt. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your celebrant this morning. Here at UUFCO, we welcome you in all your glory. Whoever you are, however you show up this morning, skipping in or moving at a snail's pace, we welcome you. Whoever you love, however you look, who you identify as, we welcome you. If you have plenty or if you are struggling to have enough, we welcome you. No matter where you come from, your nationality, or the color of your soul's envelope, we welcome you. Come, let us worship together. Our guest this morning is Kenneth Adams. He is the executive director and board president. Kenny is a writer, filmmaker, designer, and community advocate dedicated to uplifting Black voices and fostering equity. As executive director of the Fathers Group, he has expanded and strengthened the Ujima Youth Program, played a role in launching the Empowered Mentorship Program, and developed initiatives that provide financial literacy, cultural enrichment, and mentorship for youth and families. His documentary Blend offers an intimate look at the lives of Black residents in Central Oregon. In addition to his work with the Fathers Group, Kenneth serves on the Oregon Commission on Black Affairs, advocating for policies that support and advance Black communities statewide. With a passion for storytelling and systemic change, he continues to drive impactful programs that build a more connected and empowered community. Let us welcome Kenneth.
Please rise in body or spirit. We've got a fun song to sing. First, we're going to need to get a 2-4 going on. So it's like this. 1. And the way this song goes, it's call and response. But the first part, lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. It goes like this. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I wouldn't mind a little bit of support on that put. Raise your arm and stretch it out with all your might. Here we go. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put, there you go, one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other. And now here comes the call and response. I'll sing a line and you reply. You just repeat the same thing. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't give up hope. Keep moving on. Good. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared, and I'm scared too, but here I am, right next to you. Here we go. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love, and lead with love, and lead with love.
I'm Laura Voisinet, and this is Jazz Halberstadt, and we're here with today's chalice lighting and reading. We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may bring others who are much like us and others who are much different. May our lit chalice reminds us that we are a people taught by different stories, with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love creates justice and justice brings birth to peace.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning. My name is Amy Brock, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth. And it is time for all ages. So if you're young or young at heart, we invite you to find your way to the rug. This month we've been exploring trust. We've had a lot of Sundays to explore trust, more than we have sometimes. So think about something that you learned about trust this month while our friends are coming to join us. Something that you have learned about trust. What's something that you've learned about trust?
Well, I've learned about trust this month. We've talked about it all month long. What I've learned is that communities of trust are flexible things. We say in this congregation we're a high trust congregation because we want to offer each other that grace and that trust in one another. And I have learned that with that trust you can build tremendous things.
Do you have anything that you've learned about trust? Something? No. We've talked about covenant a lot in RE this month. A covenant is a promise that we make to each other. And it's something that helps us build trust with each other, because even when we have hard things happen, we can always come back to our covenant, and that helps us know how to be together. I have a story to share with you today. It's about how people are different, just like us. I think we have some slides with the story, maybe. Yay, we do. Our story is called All People Are Beautiful, and it was written by Vincent Kelly and illustrated by Cha Consul. All people are beautiful. Look at the world around you, and you will see all the fun things to do and so many great people to meet. All people are beautiful, whether you're older or youthful. My community is filled with grandparents and parents and aunts and uncles and cousins and siblings and friends. I love the time that we spend together, and I never ever want it to end. All of my friends are unique, and that makes everyone special. Some have long hair and some have short hair. Some people are big and some people are small. Some people are really short and some people are really tall. Meet a few of my friends here. William likes playing drums. And Melanie likes playing with dolls. Carter likes to play soccer. Dylan likes riding his bike. Miles likes swimming in the pool. What do you like? We like playing with Legos. My friends like different things, but they are all really cool. Sometimes we like to play with dinosaurs too. We come from different countries and places. We have different faces and represent all races, but all people are beautiful. We speak different languages. Some speak English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Dutch, Swahili, and Chinese. There are so many things to learn from each other, so we need all of these. All people are beautiful. Our differences are what unite us. No two of us are the same. If we were all just alike, it would be really boring and a shame. All people are beautiful. It doesn't matter what you look like. What matters is that we treat each other right. When I thought about treating each other right, I wondered if that means that we treat everybody the same all the time. What do you guys think? No, because people need different things sometimes, right? We're all different. So we all need to think about how people are different and treat each other how they want to be treated, following our platinum rule. Some people like stories, and some people like Legos, but when we all come together, we get to celebrate our differences. That's what I think they mean when they say show respect, be polite, say thank you, say great job, help each other, encourage each other, and say you're welcome. What could we say if somebody isn't treating us right? We could say no thank you. We could say I don't like that. Those are some things that can help us. All people are beautiful. We can celebrate the people around us for who they are. We can clap for them, we can cheer for them, and make them feel special because everyone is a star. Can we clap for each other today? Because we are all stars. All the people at UUFCO are beautiful, and that's what makes us such a wonderful place. Thanks for joining us today for this story. I think we're going to do some more exploring today.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, before we go to RE and do some more exploring and playing together today, we need to say our children's covenant. Ready? In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved. All right, let's go.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will
Good morning and hello again. I'm Chayla Sloper, the Congregational Life Facilitator, and I have today's announcements. I always love saying hello and welcome to those who are with us, maybe for the first or second time. You might find your way to this congregation, and you might just be visiting, and we hope that you are nourished in ways that are real and life-giving. And for those who are on Zoom, hi out there as well, we have a virtual visitor form that you can fill out. Let us know that you're with us, and if you'd like to sign up for our weekly communications, that would be the way to do it. So looking at every Sunday as we meet here, let's not forget to scoot in and make sure that chairs on the outside are open for folks who may come a little bit later. And for coffee hour today, we're very grateful that the Men's Fellowship has put it on today. They have made the coffee. They will be washing the dishes. And so here for the Men's Fellowship. And you too, and your group, can sign up for a Sunday, and then you'll also get praise from the pulpit. Okay, so for those of you who have been curious about UUFCO or Unitarian Universalism, we do have our spring Membership Matters classes. They'll be offered this Tuesday and the following Tuesday, the April 1st and 8th, from 5 to 7. We will be in Linus Pauling. For those who have signed up already, I'll be sending out an email just to prepare you a little bit for this Tuesday's gathering. We will be providing a light supper. And if you're interested in signing up, you still can. There is a sign up at the kiosk, or you can email membership@uufco.org. This Tuesday night is also something very important, and that is that at 7 p.m., we're going to have the first gathering. It will be here at UUFCO in the sanctuary. This is the first Bend Action Coalition meeting. The ministers and congregants, those who have been interested in social justice, as well as just the fundamental structures of democracy, are saying, hey, what can we do in this community? So this is what they're saying. In this time when our values are under threat, the dismantling of federal protections, the erosion of civil rights, and policies rooted in fear and scarcity demand a faithful response. The United Methodist, Episcopal, Presbyterian, Evangelical Lutheran, and UU congregations of Bend are forming the Bend Action Coalition to anchor our resistance in the teachings of our faiths. Here. And the work of justice. We'll begin with issues like land and housing, immigration and civil rights, but our foundation is clear. Nobody is disposable. Love is non-negotiable. Faith takes action. So that's this Tuesday night, April 1st at 7 p.m. And so if you're in the membership class, you can just stay. But otherwise, invite your friends who may be of a similar sort of urgency about how to respond, and particularly those who bring the anchor of their own faith. So other things going on in the life of the congregation. So our homeless outreach project has a list of items that there is a severe need for among the homeless and houseless in our community. The list is on the tote by the front doors where you can bring in the items that they've requested. They've also said that providing funds to purchase some of these items is also acceptable. So if you're interested in knowing about those items, check at the homeless outreach table in the gathering hall after services. And we'll be collecting those items through Easter Sunday, which is April 20th. Speaking of Easter Sunday, it's time to start thinking about muffins, scones, and deviled eggs. That's what we can bring to share in our celebratory Easter brunch late that we do on Easter Sunday. There is a call from the Art Resources team. If you have art or know an artist whose art, that it reflects mental health issues or has somehow come out of a mental health struggle, the next art installation is called The Art That Heals Us. So that might be something to share if you've been on a journey having to do with mental health. Okay, winding down. This Thursday, there's going to be a poster-making session from noon to 2. I understand that there is a nationwide protest demonstration on Saturday, April 5th. This is going to be all over the nation, and Bend wants to have a presence in that as well. So if you don't have a poster and you want to have something to say, come on Thursday between noon and 2. Dory Jansen has raised her hand to organize this. Okay, here we go. Deep breath together. Let's lead with love. Blessings on your day.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and hope.
Yay! Oh, man. That is awesome. Thank you. Our joys and our sorrows and our gratitudes are a part of our life, and we might find ourselves at any given day having one of these responses to life around us. And because we are a community that cares for one another, we share our joys and our sorrows and our gratitudes here with one another on Sundays. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share with the entire congregation, these forms are on our kiosk. Feel free to just fill them out and stick it back in the kiosk or give it to an usher. And if there's a joy or a sorrow in your heart you'd like to light a candle for this morning, please feel free to do so at any time. And I'll start out with a gratitude. My gratitude is to Martha, who cares for our candles. Did you ever wonder how those things happen? How sometimes they go down to nothing in nubs, and then all of a sudden, magically, one Sunday, they're all better and brought back to life? It's not actually magic. It's Martha. So thank you, Martha, for your candle ministry. All right, we're going to start here with Erica Beard Irvine. She shares a joy. This week, my husband Henry was admitted to St. Charles with chest pain and found to have significant coronary artery disease.
Today, on March 29th, he underwent double bypass surgery. My joy is for the excellent, that was not our joy yet. My joy is for the excellent care he has received at St. Charles and for the fact that he went to the ER right away instead of waiting. Because he didn't wait, he didn't have a heart attack that he would have had otherwise. My joy is also for Jill and Kirsty, who came to knit with me in my community while my husband was in the surgery. They brought me food and distraction, and I am very grateful. Don't ignore your chest pain, says Erica. And you can take Erica's word for it. She's a doctor. Nathan Jenkinson shares a sorrow. He's mourning the loss of my favorite job I've ever had due to an executive order. Looking forward to opportunities to come and the optimist and more time for gardening. Ed Chayla Sloper, who you saw and heard from earlier. Every April 1st, I celebrate my bold leap of faith when I moved to Bend. Adverse to change, and as an Enneagram 6, this was radical. This is my 18th anniversary. The flowers on the chalice table today are in celebration of the rich and remarkably full life I am blessed to have found and made here. Thank you all for being a part of it. And thank you, Chayla, for being a part of our world as well. We'll invite you just to stay seated as we sing a meditative song. David's going to sing it through once for us, and then we'll sing it all together twice.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
I'll invite you to take a deep breath of air into your lungs, housed in your body. This body of yours, with all its uniqueness, no other body like it in the entire world, ever or to come. Your body, precious, special, unique, in all its different ways, in all its peculiarities, all its perfection, and all its imperfection. We lift up this prayer today as tomorrow is Transgender Day of Visibility. We know that our transgender siblings are under attack right now. The world has become less safe for them. To see a trans person, to celebrate their visibility, is to honor their worth, their dignity, their humanness. And so we pray these words by Julian Soto. Modulate the minor key. Celebrate what's good. We come to this day again. The subtext is this: being trans is not a tragic song and a mournful dance. Remembering the dead is the hard work of the living, the masonry of love. But do not spend so much time rehearsing aloud the legacy of violence and inheritance of fear that you forget. To be visible is to offer an invitation to something deeper, bolder, like the cold currents of the ocean carrying muscular fish, the means of connecting with the people we want to connect with. But trans people are not invisible in the way of ghosts, having given up tangible form. To make trans people visible is to tell the truth. The trans people have always been here, and no matter the complexity of a moment that makes trans folks targets of hate and misunderstanding, trans folks will always be here. And tell the truth that we are not discovering trans people like some new element with a name like Californium, but rather that as communities we are learning, perhaps for the first time, that without the presence of trans, non-binary, and intersex folks, our own blessing is not complete. Not because we have to extract it from somewhere, but because the wholeness of both the universe and humanity lies in the each of us and the all of us. Because the wholeness of both the universe and humanity lies in the each of us and the all of us. Amen.
Good morning. First, Kenneth Adams, pronouns he, him, wanted to express gratitude for you having me here this morning. Our first reading is from Bell Hooks. Hooks was a Black American feminist, author, educator, and social critic, and one of my personal favorite authors. To be loving is to be open to grief, to be touched by sorrow, even sorrow that is unending. The willingness to be vulnerable allows us to give and receive love fully. And this mutual trust becomes the foundation of our resistance and healing. The second reading is from Angela Davis, a Black American feminist, political activist, academic, and author. The interconnectedness of struggle across the world teaches us that none of us are free until all of us are free. Justice is not something we can achieve in isolation. It is something that must be built collectively. In the United States, we talk about democracy, yet we have more people in prison than any other country in the world. If we want to talk about freedom, we must ask, freedom for whom? Freedom to do what?
Hi, everybody. So David and I wrote this song. It's called The Energies of Love, and it's based on a quote from a theologian, 20th century theologian named Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He was a Jesuit priest, and he was also a paleontologist, which did not win him favor with the Catholic Church. He underwent quite a bit of suffering in his lifetime. He lived during the first half of the 20th century, served in World War I as a stretcher bearer, and he was actually banished by the church. He couldn't live in France for most of his life, couldn't publish any of his books until after he died. And he perceived through all this struggle and suffering that he was experiencing in his own life and out in the world a deeper and more transcendent love. And so he spoke about in this quote that the song is based on, the fact that harnessing the power of that love will be tantamount to discovering fire for the second time. Not yet. What if I loved you when the battle lines are drawn? If I could see goodness that your fight is founded on? And what if you loved me even though we're miles apart? Couldn't that be a foundation for healing to start? The day will come when we shall harness the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time, we'll discover fire. What if I loved you fall apart? If I could see through the mess, an enduring work of art. And what if you loved me, even though I don't always do you right? If you could see me for who I am, what if I dared to admit the highest love? It isn't found What if our love is imperfect symphony? If I could stop comparing and settle into just being me, the day will come when we shall harness the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time, we'll discover fire. What if I saw through the suffering of this world? See over through abides a greater love. And what if I let the sanctity overwhelm me? The day will come when we shall harness the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time, we'll discover fire.
Wow. Wow. All right, Kenneth, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Before we start talking about stuff, I want you to share this piece of trivia. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary in this place, this building, next in April. Kenneth, where were you 10 years ago about this time, probably exactly?
In this building,
What were you doing?
helping to set up the network and the Wi-Fi in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a contract IT professional working for a company, and this was one of our clients. And I remember coming in during early construction and then mid-construction, and then later on as it was getting close and up on scaffolding or in your networking room. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I was thinking about that this morning, how, 10 years ago, if you had told me that I would be on the stage talking, versus just still working with the cabling or the wiring, I would ask you how
Right.
that would get to that point.
Well, let me ask you how. 10 years, from IT tech to leading black communities in Bend and Central Oregon, what happened? That's a pretty big shift.
A lot happened. I'm a career IT professional, 30 years plus. Started out at an early age, and when I moved out here from Florida and Georgia, the Southeast, I was really focused on, at the time when I moved here, I was running my own graphic design and web design company, but was tired of the 24/7 work. So I picked up a job that I ended up being the lead technician in, and then it was more 24/7 work. And then I really was just from work, or home, work, grocery store, home. really didn't go out in the community all that much. And then 2020 happened. Well, actually, no, let me jump back a little bit. 2019, when my grandmother passed away, I flew back out to South Carolina within a day of it happening and had some time to sit with my aunts and my father. And, we really talked about roots, talked about how she would view me, because I hadn't seen her since we had moved away. So that was kind of hard. But having a conversation about, our paths and destiny and things of that nature and what she always saw in me. My grandmother and I had a really, really close relationship. She was essentially my mother. And whenever we would have conversations, she would always say multiple times, while explaining something to me, she's like, I know you understand this because this is just grandma talking to grandma. Because we had the same mentality. So 2020 happens. COVID, George Floyd is murdered. We have the March for Racial Justice in Bend, from Farewell Bend Park down to the courthouse, and I just go as a community member. It was me, my daughter, and my partner at the time, and we're walking and marching, and I didn't get up on the mic. I didn't really know anybody in the community, but and then after being at the courthouse, went over to the Troy Field, and I was listening to several of the speakers, people that I call friend now. Ricardo Waits from We Black Radio, Jason Graham, Mosley Wada, here Josie Stanfield, I'm hearing Luke Richter. I'm hearing all these names and seeing all these people, standing up, and I'm like, I just feel something kind of bubbling inside. And then the next day we're at Drake Park. And everyone has their signs, and people are just coming together. People are just wanting to find a sense of hope, a sense of peace and understanding and direction. Mosley gets up again, and if you've never heard Jason Graham, again aka Mosley Wada, speak, you're doing yourself a disservice, because everything that comes out of that man's mouth is melodic and introspective, and just, it really does something, at least to me. And I was like, next thing I know, I'm standing up behind him near the stage, and it was like a blink, and I'm like, why am I here? Why am I standing here? And then I grabbed the mic, and for the longest time, whenever I would speak in front of crowds, I would just kind of blank out, and essentially I feel like the ancestors were speaking for me. Because it was, when I would come off stage or in front of people would like pat me on the back like, yeah, that's good. And I was like, I don't know what I said.
Hope it was good. Yeah, it sounds like it was.
I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And it just kept happening. And I would do something where my friends dubbed it my angry typing, because whenever something new would happen in the world, I would just start writing and writing and writing and citing my sources and making sure that, I was tired of seeing a lack of common sense in what the media or pundits were saying, but then I also saw that there were people that were wanting to be able to express themselves, but they didn't know how to do it. They didn't know how to put it into words. And I would have several conversations with community members, and I would take not only my own opinions, but also what I was hearing from other people, and I would put that into something tangible that people could read and try to relate to. And next thing you know, I'm volunteering with the Fathers Group. They had been around since 2018. I didn't even know about them, but still, the services that the organization was providing is exactly what I needed at the time, and I just didn't know it was there. And then Juneteenth 2021 happens. Actually, let me roll back another moment, because we have to talk about October 3rd, 2020. October 3rd, 2020, there was, in the midst of everything that's going on, there was a party, we call it a kickback, at Pilot Butte Park, where a lot of people that were in the activist community, and I mean, there was a lot of hard work that had been going on, and it was like, we just need to relax. So we were literally gonna order pizza, get some cake, have some drinks, like non-alcoholic drinks, family, bring all the family out, everyone just have some fun. And we were originally gonna do it at Drake, but then we heard that some local aggressors were going to show up. And we were like, all right, well, let's move it. So we moved it over to Pilot Butte Park. Several of us got there early. At the time, I was not with the Fathers Group. At this moment, I was volunteering with the Central Oregon Peacekeepers. I don't know if anyone remembers them.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But we're out there, and probably about, I want to say, 10 minutes into the function, first truck pulls up, and a guy hops out, and he pulls out a MAGA flag, and he starts walking around, and then more show up. And then they're having their own little barbecue right across from us, and there's a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, but for the most part, everyone stayed separate. I'm not going to go into that story. It's a very, very long story. But 2 things happened that day. Well, I'll say 3 things, among all of the other things. One, it was the first day that I got bear maced. So, got my, as my friends called it, I got my spicy wings. But that led directly to me meeting this man right here. Because I can't see anything. I hear commotion, I hear yelling. It's a very, very traumatic experience. And all I hear is, hey, come this way, I got you. I can't see anything, I just feel a hand on my arm, and then I feel a hand on my other arm. I'm not sure who was volunteering with you at the time. But he's pulled me to safety and then starts cleaning my eyes, just rinsing my eyes out, and there was no, okay, you really shouldn't be doing this, or I like your message, just not your method. None of that. It was just, he cleaned my eyes. When I could finally see, he said, what do you need? And I was like, I need to get back. He goes, get back out there. And that's the interaction. That was the initial interaction. The amount of kindness and trust building, when we were talking about doing this, you were saying, we wanted to have a conversation, maybe talking about trust. That was such a tangible example of trust building. That wasn't a critique. It wasn't a admonishment. It wasn't a, you weren't wagging your finger at us for doing what we're doing. You were there just to help people. And when you did the duty of getting my eyes clear, you're like, all right, get back out there. I was like, all right, coach. Ran. But, and then also on that day was when I realized that the sector that I was in that moment, doing the boots on the ground field work, was not necessarily where I was supposed to be. Because once everything cleared out and everyone left, and there were several acts of resistance because PD tried to arrest some of the activists just for, their voices were elevated, rightfully so. We effectively de-arrested 2 people, and then once everyone cleared out, everyone, obviously tensions were high. Everyone was like, we need to go down to the police department, we need to, protest, march right now. And in that moment, I was like, pause. I learned that from that man right there, Dr. Dalton Miller-Jones, who is my mentor. He's here today. I know you guys, he's spoken here several times. Yes, please. Don't cover your face. But I just was like, pause. Because we need to think about this. We need to be mindful of what our actions are doing. When we go to do an action, when we go to do any form of protest or rally or march or anything, we have to understand what we're doing it for, what the outcome we're trying to get. And if we don't have that defined, then, essentially you're just a grumpy old person screaming at the air. So we were like, let's take a beat, let's recalibrate, let's figure out what's going on, and then move. And I realized in that moment that okay, maybe part of my function is being the level head, being the one that can, just maybe take a beat. And don't get me wrong, I've been the person the majority of my life that was, okay, I see an issue, let's go handle it, let's do it right now. Let's, we'll figure out the details in the middle of doing it, which is not recommended for multiple reasons. But it was just this natural progression of trying to just make sure that people are safe and make sure that people are held.
So that led eventually to your being the executive director and
Oh yeah, I completely and totally buried the lead on that.
Father's Group. Yeah.
So 2021, Juneteenth, where there's, it was just a single day event at the time. And I had reached out to Marcus LeGrand, and I was like, okay, so I want to volunteer, I want to help out. And he's like, just come on out. So I get out there, and they, I was like, I know you already got all your volunteers set, but just put me to work. And I was the gopher for like the first hour, just running to different stores to grab stuff that they needed. And then I think it was Kelly Musgrove, who was on our board. He's a realtor in town. And he goes, hey, wait a minute. You like to talk. Here, read this. And I was like, huh? And they gave me a microphone, and next thing you know, I'm impromptu emceeing the event. And then literally about 4 months later, I get a call saying, hey, we are interested in having you become the executive director. We want you to come in and talk. And I was like, huh? But the acceptance and the community was otherworldly to me, because I'm still doing the IT job, but I'm still, monitoring and seeing what's going on in the world. And January 1st, 2022, I become the executive director of the Fathers Group, and it kind of just went from there.
So from that vantage point of being the executive director of the Fathers Group, and also, so Kenny is also a filmmaker. He made a film called Blend, Black and Bend. A couple years ago?
Actually, okay, so I got the wild idea to do Blend probably about 2.5 months before Juneteenth 2022, and it debuted at Juneteenth 2022. The way that the creative mind for me works is if I see something that needs to get done, unless there's a heavy level of pre-planning on something that needs to get done, I am like, let's just get it done. Let's tell these stories, because we've been waiting too long for these stories to go out. So, and I've always worked in, again, I ran a graphic design and web design and video production company in Georgia. So I wanted to bring those talents to telling meaningful stories. And usually with Blend, the idea behind that was there are a lot of documentaries out that talk about what we experience as Black community members, as Black Americans. And usually those stories are told through a white lens where we don't get to tell the full story. We don't get to tell not only the tribulations and the suffering, but also the triumphs and what really builds our spirit and helps build community. And I wanted to be able to give voice to that. So I chose 10 Black Central Oregonians, and I just asked them each 5 questions, and then we kind of riffed from there. And I think last time I checked, it's been watched over 2,500 times, which is kind of blowing my mind. Yeah. I also have, we can get into this later, but I have a few new projects coming up.
Yeah. Well, Chris just said, where can you see it?
Okay.
Well, you can see it online, or you could wait until May 22nd. You can come here and watch it. We're going to have Kenny back. He's going to talk about. He'll talk about the film. He'll do a Q&A, and we're going to use it as a fundraiser to boost his next filmmaking project.
Yeah. So quick plug. I'm also a podcaster, so I throw a lot of that in there. I don't sleep.
Hold on. Yeah. So he doesn't sleep. First and foremost is the podcast that Kenneth does here in town. And if you are curious about Black experience in Central Oregon, there is no greater way than by listening to their podcast. It is equal parts hilarious, insightful, challenging, truthful. It is wonderful. First and foremost, it's a podcast. If you are curious, look it up. You will not be sorry. Yeah.
Find it on any place that you get your podcasts. But the first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost.
First and foremost. The podcast is called First and Foremost.
That's essentially kind of how we got the name, is both myself and my primary co-host, David Merritt, we start out our conversations just together. Well, first and foremost, and I was like, that's just a natural name. The next projects that I'm working on is actually one that has been in the works for the last 2 years, is a documentary on the life of Dr. Dalton Miller-Jones, and it's called My Friend Dalton. We have several shoots that we're going to do over on the East Coast, and you need to hear this man's life story, and the process is done through the eyes of people that he's met along the way, along with him as well. So looking forward to being here again on the 22nd. I'm also working on a follow-up to Blend, kind of like a 4 or 5 years later project, interviewing people that we talked to because the world is drastically different than it was in 2022. And I think that it's drastically different every day, especially in our current climate. So seeing where they're at now versus then, and then also interviewing some people that I've met along the way since then, because I've met a lot of interesting people that have great stories to tell.
In your vantage point now, it's from IT professional to leading the Fathers Group. I'm curious about this question of trust in a community, right? The Black community in a predominantly white town. How is it, what have you witnessed as ways that the Black community, that the white community gains the trust of the Black community here in Bend?
Strap in, everybody. Okay. So I was thinking about this realm of questioning for the last week, and it's hard for me to pinpoint where to start. But I think I'll start with something that actually just came to my attention probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And it takes us literally 100 years ago in Central Oregon when a group of Black individuals formed a group called the Colored Men's Business Club. There's about 7 or 8 Black men, 2 or 3 Black women that got together and essentially formed something similar to the Fathers Group back then, 100 years ago, 1925. They were responsible for pushing for the whites-only signs to be pulled out of the windows downtown, in downtown Bend. They did a lot of advocacy work and worked for the betterment of our people in this area. And right now, the statistic as of last year was the Black community makes up 0.47% of the 3-county area. And we're not even 0.5%. Out of 3 counties. And still to this day, we're dealing with very similar issues that they were back in 1925. Have we made progress? Absolutely. But what we face here often, and this is from what I've heard from several community members, is a lot of placation. And placation does not build trust. When you have community members that are dealing with things as egregious as having racial aggression encounters with people, like whether it's at their job or whether it's in recreational spaces, physical therapy, and they call the police for assistance, and the police go to the aggressor first and start out by saying, "Oh, you didn't do this because they're Black, right?" And they're like, of course they're not going to tell them themselves. They're like, all right, cool. And that negates the ability to even report it as a hate crime. So out the gate, the cards are stacked against. Now, granted, I will say that thanks to the work of the Fathers Group, we have made it to where that, Bend PD can no longer do that. That is now something that is outside of their policy. So, and while there's distrust with the police, the thread lines of trust were built with the DA's office by helping to push that policy forward. That was helping to build the trust. Another way of helping to build trust is when you have a simple act of kindness of washing someone's eyes out and putting that work into action. But what I've also seen is over the last 4 or 5 years, I'm sure, who's heard the phrases microaggressions, okay, so I don't look in the guise of microaggression or macroaggression. I just look at aggression as aggression. And when you have people that are pushing for things like, oh, well, that was a microaggression, and they kind of try to lessen the blow of something that is still detrimental to someone's ability to be able to function, that breaks trust. When you, on the sly, belittle the experience, the very real experience of living here. The place that I was working at when I was here, one of the first things that was said to me by one of the managers was, hey, you know what, I was having a conversation with one of our potential clients, and I was like, hey, what do you call a black IT guy in Bend? Kenny. And I'm like, really? Can't I just be a person? Do you make those jokes about the other techs? Do you like really lean in and dig in on that? And it made me very leery of working for said company until I actually spoke up. Being able to speak freely about the experiences that we deal with, and them being able, whenever the questions come to us, and I mean, I know we're not a monolith. We're definitely not a monolith. But when you have well-meaning people come and ask, okay, so what can we do? How do we show up? And then when we say, all right, well, these are the things that are important to us. These are the things that need to happen. These are things that we could see that will, if we just tweak these little things and do it, we'll have a better go of it as a community, as a people together. And the response is, cool, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you instead. That doesn't build trust. That tells, and that crosses the line of not just race or gender or sexuality. That's not listening to people. That's not hearing them at the very baseline of what the actual need is. You know, going out to a protest, again, I've mentioned this and I'll kind of drill this in as the day is long. Going out to a protest, going out to a march, cool. Are you doing it to build community and gather numbers of like-minded people? Yeah. Is that going to do anything? Doing a protest right now, is that going to do anything in Washington, doing it here in Bend? Probably not. But what you can do is find out what you can do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's at your job, whether it's with family. You know, if you're having a get-together, I know some people have, you know, Easter dinner, Easter's coming up, and you hear Uncle Randy say something that's kind of wild and from the left field, and usually you're not going to speak up because, oh, I just don't want to rock the boat in the family. What's he saying to people out in public that you could have a hand in stopping? That's what builds trust. And the thing is, trust can be built without saying a word to someone that you're trying to build trust with, because it propagates. If you can change the mind, if you can plant a seed that will then grow. One of the songs that was sung earlier said, you know, roots hold us close. Do y'all know how powerful that is? Because what's at the root? Okay, we're going to go even deeper here. I'm going to go in, again, Dalton, forgive me, because I'm just going to quote you all the time. Something that Dalton has always said to me, and it's a truth, and it's a truth that most people in the white community don't really want to hear. Y'all are our kids. The root of humanity is from Africa. So the roots that hold us together, where is that? It's in our shared story. It's in our shared history. It's coming together. It's coming to break bread, learn from each other. There are so many things that we can learn from you and that you can learn from us. Here's the thing, though. One more quote from you. Look, I'm just a younger version of him, so y'all just gonna have to deal with it. No, but this is something that actually really, really stayed with me when I heard him say it the first time. The black community, black people in general, especially black Americans, we know the white community. We were in your homes. We washed your clothes. We nursed your children. We tended to your fields, built your homes. We hear everything. We see everything. We understand what happens over and over and over again. No matter how many times the call to change happens, we fall into the cyclical thing of, okay, we're going to do this for a while, and then it kind of dies off. I'll give an example of that here in a minute. But on the reverse, taking the time to get to know us, that builds trust. We're there, we're ready. We have our ears open, we have our arms open. Usually whenever, I don't know how many people have proximity to the black community that's in this room, but oftentimes you'll hear people say, oh yeah, they're invited to the cookout. If you don't know what that means is, in the black community, we break bread over barbecues, family reunions, get-togethers. And if we find someone that's outside of our community that is really showing up and really standing out, it's like, yeah, come on, come hang out with us. And we invite people in. That's just who we are as a people. We want that unity. The main thing we want is just to be able to survive and live our lives. So having that in reverse, to where there's no baggage that comes along with it, and just let's come together and let's share ideas, let's understand. Let me hear you. I don't always have to be the one commanding. Let me hear what you're saying. That builds trust. Having an open ear builds trust. I'm going to say that again. Having an open ear builds trust, and don't let it leak out the other ear. Retain it. We sit here and we are so attached to these things. But we're so furious about typing and telling people, and we've gone into this narcissistic mindset in society without really taking the time to just sit and say, hold on, what are they saying? The example that I wanted to use, and you'll have to forgive me because I'm very long-winded. The example I wanted to use, that March for Racial Justice that I mentioned earlier. It was on the news. You saw there was probably, about 2,000, maybe 3,000 people that were out there that day. I mean, I was looking at the pictures of Farewell Bend Park, where everyone staged first, and just seeing all the signs and all the people there, and everyone was, in this camaraderie standpoint, and everyone marched together. They stopped traffic. They walked through Old Mill, and and went through. It was this great day. Yes, we did a thing. Fast forward to not very long ago when Barry Washington Jr. was murdered on our streets. Who's familiar with Barry Washington Jr.? Okay, I'm so glad that many hands went up. Because the same call out for something that happened not in our backyard, but in our front yard, was to have the community come out. There should have been 5,000 people out there, 7,000. We as a community should have come together and said, no, not here. We called people to come out to support Barry's mother during the case where Ian Cranston was on trial for his murder. For a good 12 days, there were 20 of us. 20. And most of them were the same people every single night. We would go out there, we would stand out in front of the courthouse, just waiting for his mother to come out just so we can love on her. And then we would walk down to the corner where he was murdered, and we would just have a peaceful vigil quietly, just in remembrance. And we would literally, this is a point where it was almost like a plea. Please come out and show support for this family. Come show support for the black community. This happened here. Like, that brought it to a very real head for us. I mean, we live with this on a day-to-day basis as it is. Most everyone has the talk with their kids, you know, and when I say the talk, you know what I mean. Black households has a second talk, and it's usually before that first one. How you conduct yourself when you're in a car if you get pulled over, how to conduct yourself when you're out in public. And the fact that we still have to do that to this day shows that there is a distrust. Because we don't know what we're walking into. We don't know who we're dealing with. So we have to go the extra mile to make sure that we're safe. And we called out for so many people to come out. And I'll say that the last day before they read the verdict, our sheriff at the time showboated and put up concrete barriers in front of the courthouse. And we actually kind of found that funny because, like, what are we going to, there's 20 of us, what are we going to do? Someone actually went with chalk and wrote, "Calm down, Shane," on one of the barriers.
Yeah.
Because that's just not who we are. You know, there's something to be said for what the black community and other communities of color, as well as the LGBTQ community as a whole, not just in this country, but on this planet, has endured for decades on decades on decades. And we're still here, we're still persevering, we're still trying, and the thing is, we're still, for the most part, by and large, trying to fix the issues that are being set upon us. I will say, though, I just gotta throw it out there, the march on April 5th that's coming up, you'll find that the majority of the black community are sitting this one out. And we're sitting them out kind of like until further notice. Because I just want to encourage you, if you are going to go out, be careful and watch what you do. Because it's bait. All of these things that are happening right now in the news, all these things that are happening on a regular basis right now, day to day, I think everyone is kind of tired of hearing breaking news. Because it's literally every 15 minutes, breaking news. It's like, what now? It's a smokescreen to try to get you out in the streets and to get violent. Be careful. And this is, again, in a point of building trust. As someone that has seen it firsthand, to the point where I couldn't see until he stepped in, and as someone who has studied and seen what's happened over the last over the last 400 years in this country, be careful. And the last thing I'll say before you continue is, when you're out and about, if you are going to a rally, the first person that starts talking about, hey, let's break windows or let's do something, that's the person that's really trying to get y'all to push over the edge. Don't listen to them. Have a purpose, be smart, and always watch out for each other.
Well, the work of building trust is ongoing and ongoing. We invite you all back on May 22nd. We'll have some more time with Kenny, some Q&A, and we'll watch the movie Blend and hear from those experiences of those black community members. Could I just ask for your appreciation and gratitude for Kenneth being with us today?
Please join me in our covenant as I extinguish the chalice.
Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law.
It's our covenant, to dwell together as peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
Because the wholeness of both the universe and humanity lies in the each of us and the all of us. Go in peace, go for justice, and go with love. Amen.